Connection with Shade Network activated. Audio file download commencing. Files marked extremely sensitive. Strategic Homeland Division only. Agent, commencing transmission.
What's up, agents? You listen to episode 173 of SITREP Radio, giving you the news and other happenings in the world of the Division 2. This week, we're talking about Endgame in the Division 2, not the MCU. But first, my name is Mike, and joining me, as always, are my co-hosts, Robert.
Hello.
And Luke.
Hello.
And I hope you guys and our listeners have had a great week, and welcome to any new listeners of the show. Boys, how have we been over the past week, I guess? Luke, how's your week been?
All right, mate. Yeah, thank you. Yours?
Yeah, it's been good, man. Busy. Back to work full-time now as well. Let's not talk about that.
Boo-hoo.
Oh, no, tell the story of your first day back.
Yeah, first day back, half day. I couldn't do it. No, it's my son's birthday on Monday. He was 4, and it was a good job because, like, if I hadn't have had a half day, then we wouldn't have gone to bed till like 10 o'clock because we had a lot to do. Anyway, Robert, how's your week been? How's your foot?
Yeah, it's a lot better now. I went to the gym today.
You did?
It's fine.
Nice. Do you want to tell the listeners how you made your foot swollen?
I don't remember. I don't know how.
Why don't you know?
Because we went out on a drunken escapade to Salisbury.
Expedition.
And yeah, it was a late night. I didn't get home till 3:30.
I still can't believe you got denied karaoke, and I wish I'd seen that.
Well, no, it wasn't. We got denied. We didn't want to sing anything they were out on their list because it was all 70s. And I wasn't born then, so.
Okay, well, maybe next time.
No.
Okay. Right, let's get down to news. Okay, so as a reminder, there is no State of the Game this week. It was seemingly pulled at the last minute. However, it should be making its return next week on the 11th of September. Unless they're pulling the wool over our eyes again and it gets removed. How do you guys feel about the fact that we didn't get a State of the Game after 4 weeks after announcing it?
I don't know why they bothered saying they're going to do a State of the Game and then, not bother. It just seems a bit... I mean, did they give a reason why it didn't go ahead?
I think the Twitter account joked that Chris Gansler had dollar flu and he would be covering it next week or something like that. But I wasn't really expecting a State of the Game this week because the ETF team's been flown out to Malmö, Sweden, and that whole thing's kind of going on at the minute. And I was just surprised that we're going to have a State of the Game right in the middle of that. I don't know how you feel about that, Luke.
I think they did it before, didn't they? While the ETF's going on, I think Hamish and that were busy last time around. But I mean, if Hamish was busy and Chris was ill, then so be it. These things can't be helped, I guess, can they? But
No.
I expect State of the Game Twitch chat would have been a toxic mess this week anyway. So I don't think it's particularly a bad thing that they skipped a week.
Yeah, I mean, the comments on Twitter were bad enough as it is. It's like, oh, you've made us wait 4 weeks as it is without any news. Well, it's better for them to come back with news than nothing at all. That was going to piss people off more than anything.
I saw Terry Spear put a tweet out yesterday, possibly the day before, that he'd been playing WoW Classic. And as you can imagine, every comment was, yeah, leave your game dead and go and play something else. Well done. I was like, the guy's allowed to go and play a different fucking computer game. Calm the fuck down, dickheads.
Yeah, I was just waiting for the PvP comments. Like, oh, the PvP in the Division's dead because he's playing World of Warcraft or something. No, we all play other games, unfortunately, including devs. It's like...
How dare they?
Would you want to go home and do your job? Like, when you get home? No. I wouldn't.
Yeah, I can imagine if you're that close to a game, you wouldn't really want to play it at home.
No. Unless it's really, really good.
Johan's in our clan, isn't he? And he doesn't play that often. And I can completely understand why. And he's not even a dev, is he? He's more on the community side of things. So, he talks about the game all day and doesn't want to play it. So let alone trying to, implement changes and fix things or whatever. Because you'll always be playing a build ahead of what you can play at home, right?
Yeah.
Say playing, using a build at work that's ahead of the build you are at home. So
yeah, you're just going to grow to hate it if you keep doing that, aren't you? But yeah, as we said, ETF is basically ongoing this week. They're there till, I think, Friday, something like that. Do we know who's actually in the ETF this time around? ETF-Echo, I believe. I know Mike Thinks Aloud is there.
Solid FPS was one.
Yep.
Buzz Lightyear was one.
Yep.
Solid's a good choice. It's a solid choice.
Solid choice. Pun intended.
Yes.
They're the three I can think of that have made it public knowledge that they've been selected.
I feel like it was more and I can't remember who it is.
Yeah.
Good luck to all involved. I'm sure they'll be covering the topics that we've been going over the last couple of weeks, including endgame, gear, inventory, and how to synergize PvE and PvP. Anyway, let's get down to today's discussion. We've kind of put this off for a couple of weeks, boys. I didn't think we'd make this stretch out for 3 episodes, but there we go. Where's the end game, lads?
At the moment, there isn't any. Not really.
I do feel sad about that.
Well, there was for a little bit when we all wanted to play the raid.
Yes. Do you not find it kind of weird? Do you remember E3 2018 when I believe Julian went out on stage and was like, Endgame has been thought of first. This whole game has been thought of Endgame before anything else. And we're, 6 months in? And there's nothing to do in the game at the minute. Expeditions has been and gone, literally. They've removed it from the game. We'll talk about that in a minute. Once you've kind of got a build, there's no reason to chase anymore, is there? Once you've kind of perfected at least one build, there's not really much reason to chase anything else. Unless, like, if you want to be hardcore about it and nail down every single piece for every single gear set. But, a lot of people think some of the gear sets are kind of meh. So where is the end game at the minute, would you say, Luke?
Unfortunately, I do kind of agree with Rob because, I don't want to sit here and be too negative because I don't want to give the devs and everything a hard time, but I haven't played the game for about 3 weeks. I know neither of you two have played it for that length of time, if not longer. And before that, the only reason I was logging in was to rerun the raid with you two and the rest of our clanmates who were running it with. So, but I mean, going back a little step to where you were talking about Julian Garrity at E3 last year, you've got to think obviously at that point all the optimism was in place that they'd improved the Dark Zone, they'd got the raid that was coming and people were going to love that, they'd got all the high-end builds and all the gear sets that they knew were coming. So if everything would have worked out the way that they wanted it to work out, I think it would have been in a good place because you would be chasing the builds, you would be looking to improve the builds that you've already got, you would be going in the Dark Zone, you would be doing the PvP activities, you would perhaps still be doing the raid because it wouldn't be the only thing that made you want to play the game for a while, therefore you wouldn't have eaten it up quite as fast. So
when did we got the, I can actually tell you, we got the raid, what was it, the 18th of May? It was around about the 18th of May, wasn't it?
No idea. I can't remember that.
Sounds about right.
We played we played the shit out of that. And the reason I remember is because I went to Crawley for a week and it was around the 20th to the 25th of May. We've played the shit out of that. And like people are still playing that now. I completely agree with what you said. If everything had worked out, then the idea that Endgame being thought of first makes sense. I kind of feel like that takes us back to everything we discussed in episode 171, where we talked about builds, the loot pool. We know that's an issue. We're not going to bang on about this again today.
Well, yeah, but that's part of the end game.
That is the end game because it's the loot,
but like
cycle, isn't it?
If you're gonna make a raid build to smash do the raid, to get the right pieces, you need to farm for them, right? And then once you've got those pieces, roughly the right pieces, and put them together and made a half decent build, you need to spend another 100 hours just to find an improvement on that. Doing the same week in, week out stuff that's been in the game since launch. Well, since World Tier 5 became available. I think maybe if the expeditions went differently and they had that extra thing that was supposed to come with it,
the mastery system.
Yeah, if that was there, then we would have been fine. Like we got bored of the raid, and then Kenley College came out. If that mastery system was in place and it was repeatable, we would still be playing the game, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, yeah, they probably wouldn't. If like what Luke said, if the game was in a better state, we probably would have made that last until the next drop, which has probably been delayed because of the ETF.
Well, I feel like we've said this, like, we don't want to talk about builds, but you kind of look at it and pen on paper, like loot, builds, RNG, these are all like, it's affecting everything, isn't it? That seems to be like one of the main problems in the game at the minute with regards to PvP. Endgame, you don't want to be spending 100 hours chasing a single piece of loot to complete a build to go run the raid or all the rest of it, but then it's killing your enthusiasm to play at Endgame when you're spending that amount of time looking for that single piece. It's obviously a big portion of it, but then going back to what you said about expeditions, how do you feel like expeditions went down in the Division community, Rob?
Oh, not very well. They were there. We did them. They're gone.
I don't understand the logic behind removing them. I'm really struggling to get that.
Like my dad is still playing the game, and he got to level 30, and he was like, "Where is this new stuff I've been hearing about?" And they'd already gone. I was like, "Sorry, Dad, you can't play it."
This is something we haven't actually talked about on the podcast, but they basically dropped the news on Friday the 9th of August that Kenley College was only available for an extra 4 days after that. And as far as we were concerned, as far as everybody knew, the Expeditions Kenley College was the DLC drop. That is it. It's in the game as a permanent fixture, and now it's kind of been removed from the game. We haven't really been told why. Is it a seasonal addition? Is it poorly communicated by the marketing team? Why wasn't this brought up sooner, do you think, Luke?
I've no idea. As I say, I'm really struggling to understand why you would put some content in the game that you would only put in for... I can't remember when it launched, but like you said, they gave you very little notice that they were pulling it out 4 days later. So, I mean, at best, it was in the game for 2 weeks. I honestly can't remember.
We should have known that before it came out.
Yeah.
It was only going to be limited time only. That should have been part of the PR for it. Like, I don't understand why they didn't do that.
100%.
A lot of people were upset about this. And the fact... No, go on, dude.
I was just going to say, I get that it's free, so, technically you could do whatever the fuck they want for it, because you could just say, well, you've not paid extra for it. What are you complaining about? But it's just another instance of communication from their side being very, very poor.
Well, it's kind of dire because you think all the people that paid for the season pass. For example, we actually bought the season pass, and I've always said I'll buy the season pass because I have faith from the DLCs that we had in the Division 1 and the work that was put in from the Division 1 to create decent content for the Division 2. Like that, I was using that as a basis, and I don't buy that many games, admittedly. Not full price or anything. I'll buy the odd couple of games on Steam cheap. And it's not even possible, dude. Real.
It is.
And you're getting early access, a week's early access for 4 weeks of content, because you need the additional week to do all 3 locations, don't you? In Kenley College, I believe. So it was literally 4 weeks, and they've removed it. And
not to mention it got put on the PTS.
Yeah. So it was tried before it even came out, but everyone had the chance to try it.
So see, I forgot about that. Why would you put it on the PTS if you're going to pull it 4 weeks later?
Literally everything in that content drop was put on the PTS. Literally everything, apart from the other 2 wings of the expedition, which were pretty much identical to the first one. So that is what surprises me, that people aren't pissed off about, like, you're paying for a season pass, but yet on PC, okay, on console you missed out, but you're still getting your weeks advanced. But people on PC, if you've got the game, you can have the PTS. So
you're basically trying before
you don't need a season pass.
No.
And if they do that again with the next thing, I feel like people might ask for their money back, and they'd be in a good place to, like, a good legal standpoint to do that.
I know you get the additional classified missions, but at the minute you're just paying for early access, aren't you? For something, I mean, when the Pentagon drops in full, or whenever it comes in the near future, is that a permanent fixture? Or are they going to pull it in 4 to 6 weeks? I don't know. I don't know the answer.
Well, it's going to get asked, isn't it?
It is going to get asked. Yeah. I'm hoping that's the case. They've pulled it to be like, okay, we've took it out. In theory, most people have got the weapon.
Is all the content going to be on a PTS again? And like, oh no, it just winds me up.
Well, this kind of goes back to something you said, wasn't it, Rob? About free content versus actually paid content.
Yeah, we should have. They should. Yeah, I'd rather pay for content rather than a seasonal pass.
Why?
Because you get what you pay for.
And you think because it was deemed as free content, it's not as good for that reason?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's happened to a lot of games.
Yeah.
Free DLC tends to be meh.
Which is kind of sad.
Because there's no money for it.
No, but you think... I don't know what people are expecting, but I was definitely expecting something like... I'm not saying underground, where you have... it was kind of randomly generated to a degree, procedurally generated. But something a bit more than what we actually got. Like you play, I know the 2 missions are still about. They haven't took that away, but they're pretty much.
That's exactly what I was. I was expecting like another game mode with like a ranking system, like something to grind.
I don't really know what I was expecting, but the bit that I do know is I was expecting some sort of replayability, not.
Yeah,
quick flash in the pan piece of content that we're going to remove from you. I never in a million years would have guessed that you would get a piece of content that they take off you again.
Did you play it all, Luke?
Yeah.
Okay.
Literally once.
Did you play all the expeditions, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, you did in the end?
Literally once. I think I played the first 2 a couple of times, and then the last one, I was like, meh. I just played it so that I could say I played it. Especially when they dropped the news that they were taking it off us. I was like, well, I better play it now.
Did you get your exotic rifle in the end? Did you? No. No, I just wondered because, like, I know when we were starting to play it, or just before, you know, they released the launch trailer and all the rest of it, and I know you were off playing. I think you were playing Tarkov or something at the time, and like you kind of look at that trailer, and I thought the trailer was like, I thought the trailer was really good, but not enough to really pull me back in. I got more excited about the Anthem Cataclysm launch trailer update than Expeditions, because of like they showed how much stuff you were going to be able to do in that update, and it just kind of felt like this is more of the same, or just I don't know, more generic. Anyway, that's enough digging on expeditions. Obviously, we want to make Endgame better. That's why we're having the discussion today. Hopefully, we get expeditions back with the mastery system in the future, because I do think, like Rob said, that would probably be the best thing at the minute. So currently there's more content in the Division 2 than the Division 1. However, the majority of the community isn't happy. Any reason as to why that is, Luke?
When you say there's more content in the Division 2 than there is in Division 1?
Generally from launch to this point.
From launch, right. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. In that case, I'd agree with you. There's definitely more in Division 2 than there was in Division 1.
Yeah.
Like pre 1.4-ish, wasn't there? But, I mean, the reason people are not happy is what we've already said earlier. You know, everything got a bit stale, and nothing really worked out the way that anybody wanted it to, did they? You know, I don't want to repeat myself from earlier, but...
Is it the case that obviously we've got a huge issue with the loot pool, and then there's no reason to go out and do certain things again, so you're not doing various activities to therefore get loot and start the whole RNG cycle, which then feeds into builds and all the rest of it? It's like rinse and repeat, isn't it? You're not really playing. You've got no incentive to do anything in the game at the minute because of the loot.
I've always been quite vocal about the RNG and the grind being not too generous, so that you've got something to play for, and that, you know, that's quite a selfish personal viewpoint for me to take. But it's just because I know I would play this game for hours and hours and hours on end if I wanted to. At the moment, I don't want to, but they went too far the other way with the RNG and the grind. It's just too much for no reward, and therefore there's no incentive to play anything really, because you know ultimately what you're playing, there's going to be no reward for it. So, you know, as I said, running around in the dark zone or whatever is just completely and utterly pointless and boring for reasons that I've explained multiple times before, with the loot cycle and the landmarks and the PvP and all that sort of bollocks.
Well, it's strange because we've said on the podcast, I don't know how many episodes ago, but quite a few episodes ago, it's like, don't change it because it's good. But like, we argued that because we didn't want it simplified. We didn't want that. But to the point now where we're at the complete opposite end of that spectrum, it's kind of like...
Yeah, but they don't want to go... They don't want to flip it.
No, and make it too easy. It's trying to find that medium, isn't it?
A middle ground somewhere.
I still think, like, the open world and doing the missions is fun. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you've got a bunch of you in game, you know, you can just go shoot shit and it doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? Like, I said the same with, I was playing Destiny, talking to Rob, and someone was complaining about one of the pieces of content and that. Now, I don't care about, I think it was the Osiris content, Curse of Osiris. And I've seen SkillUp's video where he's like, oh, it's just like NPCs stood there and you can skip it and it's really poor content. From that point of view, I don't care because I've got no investment. I just kill stuff and I'm chatting to my friends. But when you want to be invested in something, it's kind of sad that there's nothing for us to do, if you know what I mean. Like the Dark Zone, we in the Division 1, we say it, I said it last episode, the Dark Zone was Endgame. And now we're in a place where there's more stuff to do than ever in the open world. And people are still bored, which is kind of sad. We talked about the raid. One of the best pieces of content in the game, like for endgame activities, is the raid. I think we all, you know, have really enjoyed it. Has it been a pain in the ass to get through? Yes. I think for us, would you say it's probably due to not having a dedicated week after week team? We haven't had like a dedicated team on a weekly basis.
Yeah, so it was always different people every time.
Yeah, so we never seem to get any quicker or probably better at the raid because we're constantly adjusting to, you know, new players in the group, which isn't a bad thing at all. Do you want to see more raids at this point, Rob?
Yeah.
I guess the question is, like, did they release the wrong version of the raid first, or do you think we're gonna get? Wait, I just think of like all the people that were like, "Oh, this raid's too hard." Like, did they release the wrong version, and maybe the version that we're supposed to be playing is actually the heroic mode?
Yeah,
or do
but
you think we're actually going to get heroic mode?
You're viewing it as from a Destiny skew. Like, they're doing it their own way. I mean, they don't.
True, but
like,
would you
have
not
to release the?
No, I mean, you're perfectly
mode
right.
First.
But do you not think like they disappeared for 4 to 6 weeks? It's been 4 to 6 weeks since we've had. See, that's kind of harsh because we've had expeditions, but let's not talk about that.
We already did.
We already did technically.
We were a consensus.
Yes, which is fine. We agree. Do you not think it would have been cool during expeditions to have an update for the raid to add in an heroic mode to kind of see the community through till the next update?
There probably would have been if we paid for expeditions. There's not enough people working at Massive, obviously, or in the other studios that they're working for them.
True. I think they got a lot on their plate by the sounds of it with Avatar and all the rest, and obviously the other pieces of content. You know, we've got
that we'll get for up to 4 weeks.
Oh, don't! It's not even funny, dude. It might actually happen. I just hope if they're gonna do that, communicate it a lot better than you did the first time around. Please, Luke. Do you think we should have a heroic version of the raid, and would that pull you back into the game?
Yeah, why not?
Maybe it gives you 0.5% more of a chance to get the Eagle Bearer.
You want me to play heroic?
I'm joking.
Heroic road for 0.5%. No,
more of whatever it is.
Not a chance. I would sit through heroic fucking Buddy and Lucy for 0.5% extra to get the fucking Eagle Bearer.
I definitely want to do it for the challenge.
Yeah,
but once we've done it, that's it. And it's like,
give me a commendation badge and a backpack trophy, and I will sit through that shit for fucking 2 weeks to try and get it done. But that's it. Once I've completed it once, I'm not doing Heroic Road ever again. The fucking normal raid's still bad enough, let's be honest.
Unless it's fun.
Again, that would not be Endgame.
Yeah.
Do you know, I think what might solve a lot of, or bring a lot of people back to the game would be maybe some kind of min-max progression system. I'm not talking
optimization
table. That's too far, right?
Not even a little bit.
That's it. It's too far, but
a little bit.
To play, like I said earlier, to get an upgrade to my build, I would have to spend 100 hours farming, and even then, it's not definite that I'm going to get an upgrade. Or I could farm a certain piece of I can't even remember what they're called now. Alps gloves. I could farm for Alps, dismantle it, and use the material to make Alps gloves. But I don't want to do that because it would take me literally hours, and that puts me off. If there was like a progression system, I'm not even going to not. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they would do it, but I just feel like that might help. Someone else cleverer than me can think of how they can implement it. Just not an optimization table, please.
Yeah,
but I generally think that would bring people back, because if you can go in and then optimize your build.
So you don't want to optimize. You don't want the optimization station, but you want to optimize your build.
In a progressive way, not like farm this many credits and you can optimize your build in about 10 hours. I mean, like, you get a certain piece and you want to make a certain stat better. Like, you'll never be able to perfect the piece, but you could like put some currency into it and make it a little bit better. Rather than, so you can farm for a couple of hours, you don't get an upgrade, you can then put that piece, those like a currency into the one or one of your pieces, and it would make it slightly better.
You know, we discussed being able to roll two pieces on two stats, or a talent and a stat on your gear. What if you actually had to farm for something that would give you the ability to do that? Would that be a better way?
Yeah, that's
a better
much
system
what I
of
was
doing it.
trying to get across.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the optimization station.
No, it's a bad idea.
What, the optimization
Because that
station?
wouldn't solve the problem, because everyone within about a month would have perfect builds, and they wouldn't play the game because they've got a perfect build. So still no end game.
Unless you had it on a... You'd have to have it as a RNG drop, much like an exotic. There's a chance of getting it from certain areas in the game as a higher drop rate, maybe. And then it's not like div tech where you can go around and farm it constantly, but then it gives you the ability to slightly bump it, but it's not in the game enough that playing, like farming for 10 hours, it gives you a like 100% awesome build. If you see what I mean.
I don't think anyone should be able to use said currency to perfect a build. I don't think that should be a thing. But then you wouldn't be able to anyway, because if you can only reroll one stat, there's still, it would still be very difficult to achieve.
What, a perfect build?
Yeah.
So at that point, it wouldn't really matter if you did add that in. You'd just be able to. The thing is, you'd still be grinding for that one piece in God knows how many, 500 pieces for that perfect roll to then be able to optimize it slowly over time rather than 10 hours you're done, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that would be a worse or a better method of optimizing it. I don't know. What do you think, Luke?
I don't quite see the difference between that and what we've got now. If you can only roll one piece and you still need to farm for, if you're farming for a currency to do it instead of materials to do it like we do now, I don't really see the difference.
Because you could select to not like re-roll, I mean like increase the value of a certain stat.
Yeah, so kind of like the optimization station, but you getting it from our. I think having something like that in a loot pool where you go do difficult content and you get X amount of currency to do it would be a better way of doing it than just farming div tech in the dark zone like we've done it in the past. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Make the dark zone a good place to get it. That'll force people back into it. People back into there. I don't know. Well,
yeah, I mean, Luke, do you think the dark zone needs to be the focus again for Endgame? Moving forward, if they're going to be fixing PvP, does it need to be the focus?
For me personally, yes, but not everybody wants to play the dark zone, and I completely understand that. You didn't have everybody wanted to play the dark zone in Division 1, so why should it be any different this time?
Dude, I've had conversations with people this week where the dark zone in the Division 1 is the perfect PvP experience.
What?
And I was like,
who said that?
I guarantee you this person spent 3 years slagging off the PvP experience in Division 1 before they played Division 2. I guarantee it.
But the thing is, yeah, okay, so the PvP experience that we have in the Division 2 isn't up to what everyone else wants.
That's just nostalgia talking.
I think it is because we haven't had anything better than the Division 1 PvP. Does that make sense? It's like we've took a step backwards instead of a step forwards. And now, I think in my head, it's like if Division 1 PvP is your baseline and we've already took a step backwards, you want to go back to Division 1 PvP, do you not want more than that? Do you know what I mean? Do you not want something better than what we had? Or is like the Division 1 PvP bar like the best?
The best you'll ever get.
But that's it. From my point of view, the Division 1 PvP... Well, the PvP experience was the best because it's all we had. Do you know what I mean? It's the only experience we had. It just baffles me. But yeah, make the dark zone the focus again.
I wish you'd tagged me in that tweet so I could have seen that and blown that person's mind.
It was between. The thing is, like, I think Mike Thinks Aloud was checking out our podcast because he was basically on about. He must have been listening because we were talking in the podcast about using cover in PvP as a means of obviously tactical, and it's meant to be a cover-based shooter, forcing people back into cover and all the rest of it. And if you're not being pushed into cover and then you're dying in cover, then that's a fundamental flaw with the game, as Rob said last week. So he was like,
profound statement.
Yeah, but he was like, what if you had faster armor recovery in cover? I agreed with him because that would give you incentive to push into cover. So instead of it taking whatever the current time is, 5 to 10 seconds, it would just reduce to like 2 to 3 seconds maybe, because you're actually in cover rather than out of cover. So you're forcing people in. I said, yeah, I agree with that. It's a step in the right. It seems to be a step in the direction because you're pushing people. And then it was ended up in a whole chain of me and someone else discussing how apparently Division 1 PvP was the best PvP ever. There's other PvP games out there that are really good. Like I think we're kind of skewed because Siege, I think to me, is that competitive PvP. But then, like we said last week, you've got Battlefield, which is just fun throwing yourself at other players. But it's trying to find that medium. Ewok Hunt.
We forgot to talk about Ewok Hunt, guys.
Well, we didn't know at the time, did we? I think it's trying to find that medium in the Division 2. But I don't understand why you wouldn't want better. Why would you not want a better experience than what we had?
The guy who said that clearly hasn't played Ewok Hunt.
What did you call him?
Hey.
Anyway, that's enough about PvP. We talked about that last week. Rob, do you want modifiers brought to the game akin to strikes in Destiny weekly missions?
You mean like global events like we had in the first game?
Kind of, yes, but on a rotation and not actually part of an event, something that stays in the game and just like, I don't know, you play a difficult mission for the week with modifiers.
Yes.
Or you can select it.
No, I'm done. Yes, that's a good thing.
Is that something you'd be interested in, Luke?
Yeah. Something that forces you to change the way you play.
Yes.
Like you'd have to make a build to play the mission.
Yeah, I was playing Anthem and it literally does those things in the Cataclysm event. Like you deal more damage or you take more damage under certain conditions and all the rest of it. And having that back would be really good.
Imagine a mission having a shotgun damage buff. Everyone just has to run around with shotguns.
I've really been working on my impression of Rob. Does it show?
Yes.
Sorry, I've just got all these ideas, and if I let Luke talk, I'll forget.
You carry on, dude. Carry on.
No, dude, I fucking ask you, and you're like, "Yeah, I'm done." And then I go to Luke, and he's like, "Oh no, I got more to say now." Let's go.
Sorry, Luke, you can go now. I don't mean you can leave. I mean you can talk about. Go on then.
Oh, you finished, eh?
Yeah, I'm finished.
Right, okay. Yeah, they'd be good. I like that you say put it on a weekly rotation rather than just, okay, here's a modifier, then we'll take it back off you and then give you another one again in 3 weeks or whatever. I like that it would be on a constant rotation. So if
is
you
that
didn't
meant to
like
be a burn on expeditions, is it?
No. Like, because Rob mentioned global events, or one of you mentioned global events, but they were literally around for a little bit, and then, by design, they were taken off you again because they were for special events. Whereas if you're talking about literally a weekly rotation, so, for easy numbers, let's say there's 4 modifiers, 1 a week for a month, and then it starts all over again. I don't see a problem with that, because if you didn't like a particular modifier, you just don't play for a little bit.
Well, we've got plenty of missions, so you can just run them on a weekly basis. And it's chuck them up at a hard difficulty as well. Put them on challenging, or whatever you want to put it on.
What I would say before we go any further is I don't necessarily agree with how almost everybody in the community is trying to come up with ideas for Division 2 that literally copy the first game. So we're guilty of it already. We've mentioned global events. That idiot talking about PvP for Division 1 was the best. You've got other people that are almost demanding survival and underground type game modes. Why can't we think of something new?
No, I agree with you. This is something that basically we got asked the question by Doc Yaron. It was basically like, bring back West Side Pier style resistance, survival, and underground 2. I want to do resistance with my chatterbox build full of infinite ammo, and those are my only thoughts on Endgame. I agree with that to a certain extent, but I don't want to see the same content repeated. I felt like in the Division 1, they were like these kind of like side experiences to the main game. We never really had an expansion. And it's kind of weird that we're kind of going the other way now, because there's no replayability with regards to expeditions, but you've now got the story expansion to a degree that you wanted from the Division 1. So it's like almost like they've done what they wanted. They've done what we wanted them to do. Yeah, we're not happy with it. We kind of want to go back to those replayable experiences that we had with the DLC with the Division 1. I think that's why everyone's like underground resistance and they want survival back. And survival was a favorite. I think everyone's always going to be asking for that back. I'd rather they did survival, but if they're going to do it, don't just bring back survival. Do your own thing again. Just completely rework it.
Got a really good idea. What if the modifiers weren't on rotation? There would be a list on each mission, and each modifier was linked to a brand set. So if you had that modifier on, you would definitely get a piece of loot of that brand set.
It's not a bad way of limiting the loot pool, is it?
Yeah, because that would help with the crafting economy, because you need I don't know how many pieces of each material to craft one item. It's quite high though. So yeah,
I think it's a good idea. I think there's enough missions in the game to be able to do that as well. So you can have each mission have almost a brand set each.
You'd need quite a lot of modifiers.
No, I mean each mission could have any of the modifiers, but each modifier was attached to a brand set. So say you had extra shotgun damage, that would lead to a brand set that has shotgun build attached to it. There was one, wasn't there?
Yeah, we don't tend to use shotguns, so I can't remember. But yeah, I think the way I was thinking with it was, obviously you've got akin to modifiers with Destiny, but also didn't want it to be a case of you select the modifiers kind of how we did in the Division 1 Underground, when you have the modifiers on that, and some of them were an absolute pain in the ass, if you know what I mean. So to play it on a harder difficulty, you end up selecting all the modifiers, and then it doesn't make it as fun. So I think having one or two missions, it'd have to be two separate things for me personally. So you'd have I don't know, say you have to go do tidal basin with modifiers. That's your weekly objective, which rotates, but then you also have modifiers on missions, like you said, for increased chance of drop rates of certain brands. That would be a good way of sorting out.
Or they could rotate what brands are attached to what modifiers
on a weekly basis.
Yeah,
which would pull people back into the game in and out on a weekly basis. Well, yeah, definitely. What do you think about bringing back legendary missions, Luke? I mean, they require team and group composition, very much like the raid back in the Division 1, and it was most of the time a challenge, I believe.
Yeah, I'd be down for that. I'd like a challenge.
Do you feel that the missions are challenging enough outside the raid at the minute?
Some of the strongholds are when you put them on the hardest difficulty. But that's about it. I don't know necessarily if the missions are as such, because
the only ones that are heroic though are the Black Tusk missions, right? Like when they're invaded.
Yes, I think.
I'd like to see just heroic versions
Of everything.
Just normal missions.
Yeah.
Mm. Do you think solo play kind of killed the difficulty in the game? Because do you remember people would put together like these crazy ass builds to then go do, I don't know, they'd go do the legendary missions solo, wouldn't they? Like Chuck's done it, friend of the show, Chuck. Who would put together a build and then go run, was it Amherst on Legend? Was it Amherst on Legendary? Something like that?
I did see him attempt Amherst on Legendary once.
But people were doing it. People were putting these sick builds together. Yeah, you think how the game actually scales, the difficulty reduces as a factor of that.
I don't know if that's what gets you your kicks, and if that's the challenge you want to go after, then fine. I personally haven't got the patience for that. Because, it was, first of all, a massive grind to get a build that was perfect and wasn't really my play style to be able to do that solo. And second of all, you had to be in that mission for quite a while.
Yeah, I mean, some of those missions would take, 45 minutes to an hour? And that
if you're doing it on your own, yeah.
Yeah, and even in group play, like some of that was pretty, depending
on your group.
Depending on your group. And I'm trying to think, like, depending on the global events, because we'd go do some of those with global event running, and it was sometimes harder or easier, wasn't it? Especially when you had the close quarters one or the long range one, and Rob's running close range. I can't remember. I do think bringing legendary missions back to the game would be a pretty good thing. So I don't think we have heroic for all the missions, do we, Rob? At the minute.
Well, we do, but only when they're invaded.
I've seen on Reddit people want side missions being brought back again as repeatable content. I feel like this was an issue in the Division 1. We do all the side missions when you actually go through the campaign, and then that was it. We didn't see them again.
Some of the side missions are really good.
Yeah. Imagine if you got like additional vanity by replaying it like several times, or I don't know. Just bring them back. There's more content. Kind of go back to Conflict last week. Would you agree we need more maps and modes for PvP?
Yeah.
Conflict. Because that's something I thought we were going to get with kind of each DLC update. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but the Ghost Recon Breakpoint roadmap has come out, and you look at their roadmap of what's obviously PvP is a huge part of that game, which I think we all kind of hoped it would be the case in Division 2. If you look at it, like they've got a raid coming, which I could not believe that they're getting a raid. That's awesome. They've got like a main game expansion, and yet it seems with each DLC drop, they're getting more maps and modes.
There's like a semi-VR mode as well, isn't there?
Is there?
Yeah, there's like I'm not sure. It's not. I don't think it's VR like we know it is, but there is a mode where the map gets smaller and smaller and smaller and forces you to get closer to each other.
What worries me is the fact that they have more information on what's on the roadmap before that game is even out than we had prior to the launch of the Division 2. It's like everything's kind of locked down and confirmed for that game. Yet it feels like the roadmap for the Division 2 has been in flux. Maybe that's half the reason that Endgame is kind of a bit blank at the minute. I don't know.
Why don't you know?
I don't know.
You try harder.
Obviously, the road ahead, we've got Episode 2, Pentagon, The Last Castle. We're going to get 3 new missions with that, a second raid, and the Pentagon, which I really hope I don't know what your thoughts are, guys. What are you expecting from the Pentagon, Luke? What do you want it to be? Obviously, around longer than 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's a given. Something that you truly want to do over and over again. Like, you know how when me and you were playing the game, because we went through the campaign together, didn't we? And we would regularly wander off and go, oh, wow, this bit looks amazing. And then 2 minutes later, be like, oh wow, look at what they did down here, etc., etc. Like for the first few times you go through the Pentagon, I want it to be like that, literally the whole time, because there's that much to explore and that much to find. Like maybe a few Easter eggs thrown in or whatever. But yeah, just some real solid replayability.
I think the game does need that at the minute, doesn't it? Rob, what do you want, dude? What do you want from the Pentagon?
I don't know. I just hope it doesn't disappear.
Be a bit worried if the Pentagon disappeared.
Yeah.
I
can't imagine what mode they're gonna like. I can't picture it in my head, so I don't know.
From the trailer, we were beneath the Pentagon, from what I remember, weren't we? So I don't know whether
I hope
break
there's
through.
A massive maze.
See, my brain goes instantly like Resident Evil underneath the Umbrella Corp foundation, like underneath.
Oh wow, yeah, that would be cool.
And yeah,
did you just request zombies?
No, not zombies. I don't want zombies, but like I just imagine like the whole underground bit from that. If that's where they kind of go with it,
yeah, because in that movie, don't they pan out, don't you? And they see that you see the whole of the map.
Yeah,
and it's just a huge like network
underground. Yeah,
like an underground city almost.
Yeah, imagine. I'm not saying we'll get that, but that would be kind of cool.
Shangri-La from the Uncharted games.
I hope we kind of get something along the lines of what we had to do with Hunters in that, where there's like secrets that you have to obviously. I mean, they say in the description, there's the secrets you have to blown out into the open. But it would be cool to have, because like the community kind of got together and unlocked helped unlock the Hunters and decoded all those codes and all the rest of it. I thought that was really cool, and obviously we've got another raid coming. I just hope the loot and RNG system is sorted in time, because I think a lot of people are going to have to change their builds and their playstyle for the new raid.
As long as they don't do it the week before the raid, like they did last time.
I'm making no promises, dude. I'm making no promises, but it could happen. It could happen. And then early next year, we've got Brooklyn Homecoming, which is going to take us back to New York. And that's all we know at the minute.
Go find Spider-Man, because he's disappeared from the MCU. Maybe he's in a Division game.
Maybe he is, but probably not, because it's Sony.
Wait, Division's on PlayStation. That works, right? Maybe he's a PlayStation exclusive.
Oh my god, if they did that as a PlayStation exclusive, that's fucked. Luke, is there anything you want to see from the last episode?
I feel like we should say it again. Not remove it after a month.
Yeah, don't remove it after a month.
Can you imagine going back to New York for like a week and then yeah, right, fine, we're taking that out of the game again. So, what?
Dude, that's just a holiday, man. That's it.
Yeah, right.
You have to pay more money to stay. But no, in serious, is there anything else you want in there?
I'd need a lot longer to think about my answer for that, to be honest with you. They could do so much with going back to New York. They could make it literally the best piece of content that the game has ever dropped. Like,
I really hope that is, I'm just kind of thinking now, like, I really hope that is the case. Maybe the raid's really good. We've had like these mini updates in between the game launching. We've had Tidal Basin, and obviously we had another world tier. I wouldn't be surprised if we get another world tier, but hopefully the gear and loot system's better by then. But I'm kind of hoping that the fact that we've had minimal content since the launch is the fact that the last two pieces are going to be quite a substantial chunk for Endgame. I'm hoping it's... Come on.
It's free DLC, dude. It's not going to be a big thing.
I'm trying to be optimistic. Yeah, but you got to admit, there's a lot of people must have bought that season pass. Early access pass, sorry.
Yep. A lot of pissed off people.
Before we go, Rob,
Yes,
You play Destiny.
I do.
So did it.
Quite
Nick,
often.
You've played Destiny as well.
Very, very briefly. Well, actually, no. I very, very briefly played Destiny 2.
Yes. Do you not both find it weird that we're literally going down the same path
Yes.
with the Division 2?
It makes me very, very happy.
What, the fact that we're going down the same path as Destiny 2 at the minute with...
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Why?
It's just funny.
What?
Does it mean in April or when did Division come out?
March.
In March next year, Division's going to be good again.
Well, Destiny 1 did it kind of this way, didn't it? Then
Yep.
Division 1 did it this way. Then Destiny 2 copied
Did it
itself. So this game's doing it this way. I mean, I think it was Remy from Bombshell Jackets that put out the tweet that was basically just broke down how all gamers are with games nowadays. It's like, game comes out, everybody's really happy with it, and the hype is at its most. Everybody gets bored of it, everybody slags it off, then they recycle some content, and the cycle just starts again. It's like, dude's got a fucking good point, actually.
No, I'm pretty sure I've said it before. It's marketing.
Yeah, it's the hype train. If you look at every game that comes out every week, I don't think we get caught up with it like a lot of people do, but no offense to anybody playing Ghost Recon Breakpoint, but I'm not particularly interested in it. I don't know why. It's probably something I would probably enjoy. But the thing is, like, I think you see the hype train roll around so fucking often with games on a weekly basis. Like, 1 week it's this one, and it's the next one. Maybe it's just the community, or like the people that we're involved with. But you see everyone talking about certain games, and then they're gone, and then everyone's either happy with them or they're really fucking pissed off with them like a week later.
I think the developers are very aware of this cycle, and that's why they do this.
What, take a huge break and then come back with like a huge update to kind of sort shit out?
They are aware that there's going to be a lot of casual gamers playing the game for the first 2 or 3 months, drop off. They have to try and get them back.
1.8.
Like it
seems to be like normal in the.
I'd love to like ask one of like the head of Bungie or the head of Massive, is this intended?
Expected.
Is this your plan? Is this why it keeps happening? Because it's planned. I mean, they probably lie, but you know.
Wasn't it Yannick who did an interview as, the live lead or whatever his new official title is, that said, the game's in a great place at the moment because it's all brand new, but we know people are going to drift away from it eventually, and we've got plans in place for that.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Yannick's not Nostradamus. He wouldn't have known that nearly all the player base leaves, but if they were expecting it even back then when the hype train was still, roaring away from the station, then it does make me think that Rob's got a point. Perhaps some of it is almost intentional.
Does it just not show how volatile gamers are, though? That we're so like, whoa, 1 minute, and then so easy to be just turn around and be
not
fucking
if we're
angry
led that way by the developers.
I also don't think it's
Why would
exclusive to
you-
gamers, though, because you've got, movie fans will do it, especially TV fans as well, TV
Game
series
of
fans.
Thrones, yeah.
Yeah, Game of Thrones was the best thing in the world. Before that, The Walking Dead was the best thing in the world. Before that, Breaking Bad was the best thing in the world. And, the cycle just repeats itself, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's sad that it has to go down that road before it gets better again. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, it does. But a lot of it's to do with attention span as well, isn't it? People nowadays just want the new, shiny, or every, 5 minutes, even less, How often do you put a film on, and before the credits have even finished, you're looking on your phone for something else to do? I'm guilty of that. I know I am.
I try not
Everyone
to do that.
has ADD.
I honestly, when it comes to films, that's the only, and probably TV, it's the only time I'm like, I don't want to look at my phone because it's too much of a distraction.
Yeah, no, I'm the same.
Like I would hate that experience if I went to the cinema and someone was in front of me looking on their phone. It's fucking annoying. Don't do that.
It's a bit different in a cinema because the whole experience of watching a movie in the cinema is a bit more immersive, isn't it? The lights are down, the screen's bigger, the sound's better. you are a bit more conscious that you're watching a movie surrounded by other people. Whereas, if you're at home, sat on your sofa, beer in one hand, phone in the other, you can put a film on and not really pay too much attention to it. So
I mean,
I've gone way off track, by the way.
no, but at least be aware if you're in the cinema and you've got your phone, don't look at fucking dodgy pictures on your phone whilst you're in the cinema. Because I had that, and then the guy next to him took his kid, like he had his kids with him. I'm like, that's a topic for another day. But yeah, it's
really, we're going to talk about that on podcast, are we?
A different podcast.
Okay.
But it's like you said, it does feel like it's been expected, and maybe that's why they're not worried. I don't want to say worried, but it does kind of feel like everything's been planned and everything's kind of in motion, maybe a lot quicker than it was with the Division 1, like with the ETF and all that. It's like almost as if it was prepared, knowing this was going to happen, like what Rob said, unfortunately. And it is kind of weird that most people think the game's fine for the first 300-400 hours, and there's still people playing it. I think half the reason we're not playing it at the minute is we've done the raid, we smashed it, but also why not go play something else? Do you know what I mean? Why sit there and hate on something till you don't want to play it no more? I'd rather leave on a good note and go back to it because I want to, and because it's on the upturn, there's more content, things are in a better place, than just be like, I'm absolutely fucked off with it. If you know what I mean. And there's other games out there to play. We did this, like for me, we played through every single iteration of the Division 1 from start to finish. We did not stop until towards the end of...
Yeah, but we didn't start the same way we started the second one. We didn't hammer it.
No.
For 300 to 500 hours.
Straight away, no.
Straight away. We did it gradually, so...
The first one was quite a slow burner for me, to be fair.
Yeah, I think that's the difference for us.
But
anyway.
we were playing that every day, and I'm happy to take a break at the minute and play other stuff, because how long have we been playing the Division, and there's so many other games that we have not played? Like, we joke, we've been playing Battlefront, but that game came out how many years ago? We seem to have this joke that we don't only play games that are like 2 years old or are less than £10 because we just haven't got round to it, because every time something happens, a game comes out, we're like, oh, the Division's got an update just come out. We had it with like Battlefield. Me and Luke were playing Battlefield 1 or 5, whatever the number is. And then they dropped 1.5. Oh, I'm pretty sure. The Alpha Bridge patch.
Yeah, I don't play games like you guys do. I tend to just stick to one game
for 3 days straight
about it.
Yep.
And then
move on,
burn out, and move on to another game and obsess about that.
Because you're a whore. You're a filthy game whore.
I'm somewhere between the two of you, because I have a main game that I burn out on, i.e. Division, and then I'll move on to maybe just a couple more. So like at the moment, obviously I'm not playing Division, so I've been playing Tarkov and Battlefront 2. This week I've just not played anything at all. I've just had a week off of gaming just to catch up on some movies and TV shows and what have you. But that's been a nice break, to be fair. But
I think you need to step away. Do you not think you need to step away from, like, if a game's not in a good place, you do not need to keep playing it, you know?
From a game, you need to step away. Yes, I agree with that one. The step away from gaming is something that I've not done for about 4 years. Like for an extended period of time, aside from going on holiday, I can't remember the last time I didn't actually play for a week. And Friday will be a week.
Well, I was saying to Rob prior to recording, at the minute, because the Division is in the state it's in, I would rather go to the gym than game, because it's just, I've lost interest at the minute. Anyway, that's off topic.
You guys need to play Destiny.
No, I don't.
Telling you, man.
Let me ask you this before we move on to questions and feedback, because I didn't want to forget this earlier, so I put it in chat. How do you two classify whether you've got money's worth out of a game? Let me preface this by saying that my dad, who is a bit of a gamer, a bit like Rob's dad, he doesn't play Division and Destiny and stuff like that, but he put a lot of hours into Battlefield 1, and then he plays games like Football Manager and Elite Dangerous and those type of games. And he always argues to me that you should be able to get about an hour's worth out of a game for every, depending on what the game is, depending on what the content cycle of it is, an hour for every £1 to 50 pence you spent on a game. And if we're sitting at 300 hours in Division 2 already, to me, I still don't think we've done bad for our money, but I just wondered how you two felt.
I think it depends, doesn't it? Sorry, Rob, go on.
I've got 522 hours and I paid £90 because I bought the season pass.
Yeah.
Was that 5.8p an hour? Is that right?
90 divided by 522.
90. Oh, 17p an hour.
Pretty good going.
It's as good as running an electric radiator, Rob.
Bearing in mind you've got 6 months of your season pass left to expire.
Okay.
I mean, we were talking at fractions of pence per hour for Division 1, weren't we? So, in comparison, the Division 2's been quite expensive. But, if you're talking 17 pence per hour of entertainment, tell me something else you can spend 17p on an hour's worth of entertainment.
Destiny.
Really? What can you get for 17p in Destiny?
No, I'm just saying I spent
17p in Destiny.
No, hang on, give me talk amongst yourselves a minute.
Talk amongst yourself.
But I think the way I see it, it's like it's been 7 months. We're only 7 months into a life cycle of what I would probably guess is going to be a 2 to 3 life cycle. 6.
6
6?
months, yeah.
Well, it's 6. We're almost 7 months. We're not that far out, are we? Could be wrong. All right, 6. Let's say 6. Okay, we're 6 months into what? At least a 2-year, at minimum, a 2-year life cycle.
Yeah,
it's early days, and we've got a lot of content missing.
Yes,
I think once we've got more content in the game, and I say more, I feel like we need more replayable experiences, because I think that's one of the things that made the Division 1 great. Like Resistance, like, I don't want to say survival. I don't really want survival back yet. I think everybody's banging on that trait because it was one of the best DLCs for the Division 1. But I think bringing it back straight away, you're going to kind of kill all the enthusiasm for the rest of the game and other stuff that could be brought instead.
See,
that's just my point.
Personally, I think survival is another piece of content that has been improved on whilst people have not been playing it, i.e. the whole Jesus Christ.
Survival Sundays?
No. You don't miss what you've got until it's gone, sort of thing. Because the servers were always empty for survival. And yet everybody you ask about a piece of content that they want back from Division 1 is survival. Why the fuck weren't you playing it the first time round? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not being funny, but...
How many times did we sit there in a queue waiting for bloody match to load?
Exactly.
It was huge for the first month it came out, and then it died pretty much
because it wasn't
like most games.
No, it's just I feel like it didn't have that BR capability that we kind of wanted it to push towards, because you're spending a lot of time doing certain aspects of that game, whereas Battle Royale can be a lot faster than that. Would you agree?
But it's a game built into another game. You can't. It must have been very hard to do.
Yeah,
from a developer standpoint.
Well, it took a while to come out. So what was it, 8 to 9 months after the launch of the first game? No, it was near Christmas even, wasn't it? About 9 months.
You should be. Do a podcast on this shit.
But going back to what Luke said quickly, money versus time spent or what you should get out of a game. I feel it depends what you're playing. For example, if you're playing, I don't know, Spider-Man, it's what, a 10-hour game. You're spending £40 to £50 on that. You kind of know what that is, but it's a focused experience, isn't it? It's something that you're not going to get anywhere else, and you're playing it for certain reasons. Where I feel it's like if you're playing an RPG or an MMO, or you're more likely to get more for your money due to the type of game it is, if that makes sense. I think it's money versus the type of the game.
You mean you can't compare live games to one-off?
Yeah, I think they're two different things.
Story-driven games.
Yeah. It's as much as I'd like the Division to be a story-driven game with RPG and all the rest of it, it's just never going to happen, I don't think.
Fair enough. There's no wrong answer to that question, by the way. I was just interested as how you two, even if you weighed games up like that, if you like, how you compared Spider-Man then, if you'd played Spider-Man and thought it was crap, but you bought it for full price at £50 or whatever the PlayStation 4 games are nowadays. You know,
it's £5 an hour, dude.
Well, look at, I mean, even at that point, it's not. Yeah,
but even that, like Mike was saying, £5 for an hour's worth of entertainment is. It's not the end of the world, is it? Let's be honest.
So how much you notice, though, isn't
it? Yeah, well, how much is it I don't go to the cinema very often, like at all, but how much is it to go to the cinema nowadays? £12?
Depends where you go.
Yeah, it depends where you go down
£3.50.
by us. Yeah, £3.50 down by us, or £8 or £5, depending where, like,
God, you two
how
are fucking
far
hard
down
work when you want to be.
South you want to go.
Thanks.
We've got like 4 cinemas nearby, so we got like a bit of a choice.
Right. The cheapest one is the best as well, which is really funny.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's independent as well. That's the other funny thing. No, I know what you're saying. Like, if you think about the amount of time that we've already spent in the game, you've kind of got your money's worth. And we can't complain with that. You can't.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
And I will.
And we have been doing it for 2 hours.
Yeah, we have. Yeah. I think it's because you expect more, and I don't know why we expect more. Why do we expect more?
I think the only reason I wanted to bring it up was just to put some stuff in context. Really, you know, 500 plus hours for one of us, and probably 300 plus hours for the other two of us. It isn't a terrible game. It's just in a bad spot at the moment because everything seems to have dried up a bit. But put things in some kind of context. It's Division 2 is still, as far as I'm aware, the highest selling game of 2019.
Yeah,
that speaks volumes.
I shouldn't really be moaning, really. Cause the fact that I've spent 500 hours on the game
in 6 months.
It's clearly a good game, otherwise I wouldn't have done that in the first place,
But that's not why people are complaining. I think people are complaining because they want more. That's it. That's what it boils down to, isn't it? I don't always think people know what they want, but they just want more of it. And the fact is, you've run out of.
Yeah, I'll log into the Division.
Run out of it.
I want to play it, but I don't know what to do because
you've done it all.
I've done it all more than once,
and there's no reason to loot and all the rest of it.
No, I suppose I could delete a character and do another playthrough, but
no.
Seems like effort,
You're pretty lazy, so.
I've just done some very, very quick basic maths on Rob's playtime in the 6 months that the game's been out. So if you took 6 months as an average of 30 days a month, times that by 24 for the hours in a day, that's 4,320 hours in 6 months, roughly speaking. So if Rob's used 500 plus of those hours to play the Division 2, that is roughly...
When was I going to work, dude?
That is roughly 10% of those 6 months spent playing this game.
Hell yeah.
And there's people out there probably with 1,000 hours by now.
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah, solid. But like people that stream, like Solid FPS is... Last time I watched him play Division, which was a while ago, he was on over 800, so he's probably over 1,000 by now.
But that's him going to work, isn't it? Playing video
he
games.
does 8 hours a day. So
the thing is, when we talk about all this, it might seem like we're talking about it in like a negative light, but I think it's only because we want these things to be better.
Because we are.
Well, we can't sit here and pretend everything's fucking rosy and shiny,
it's not.
can we? Let's be honest.
No, we've never done that, and I would never want it to be like that. Have we given some passes in the past because we know that things? It's kind of like now. I can give the Division team, or I can give the game a pass because you look at everything that they've done in the past to bring the game back
from the past,
form again. Yeah, back from the past, back from the future.
You just said past like
they've turned the game around before, and I've got faith they'll do it again.
That's what gives me faith. Yeah, the fact that they did a 1.4 the first time round. That,
doing shitty stuff like removing DLC 4 weeks, that's not helping anything, is it?
It's a bad decision.
I don't even see that as a marketing thing, or at least give a lot more notice, or be a lot more clear on what you were doing if you're going to run it as seasonal content.
There may be, the thing is, we don't know. There may be a very good reason for them doing that.
Explain then. Be open. You're open about everything else. You want to keep that line open with the. It kind of goes both ways. Like the community takes this shit on the fucking dev team or the community team whilst they're streaming, but it's also like be honest the other way as well. If you, as much as you can.
What if it's something quite bad that affects the current game as well as what was in that?
What? There's a terrible piece of content.
No, like I mean,
we better remove it.
What if it affects another part of the game, and the reason why they haven't told us is because people would figure that out?
What if you remove it? It doesn't matter then. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, people, if they can't remove the other thing that it's affecting,
maybe I just think it's very odd that happened. Whether that's miscommunication between marketing and the team at Massive, but like, I don't know. It's very, very, very strange. But
let's stop going on about it. Let's move on.
Luke, have you got faith that the game will get better from here onwards?
Yes.
I say better. The game's good, but with regards to Endgame and everything we've talked about over the last 3 weeks.
Yes.
Why?
Because they did it before. Their track record is, they've released one game. It didn't release in the best position. They made it a whole lot better. So why can't they do it this time around?
It's just a shame they had to learn the hard way. It does kind of feel like whatever team did the live updates for the Division 1, some shit kind of got left on the wayside.
I was hoping that, in video games, the rules applied the same as they do in real life, that you learn lessons best the hard way. And it doesn't seem like they did, because 1.4 onwards for Division 1 cannot have been cheap. And, it derailed the whole rest of the cycle of the game. They've admitted as such. And will continue to admit as such. So if they have to do it again, 1, that shit ain't going to be cheap again. 2, it's going to derail everything else, which, roadmap details aside, we still have dates and not dates as such, but time spans for when we're expecting these DLCs. Fall for the Pentagon DLC, depending how long this ETF process is going to take, and how much implementation they want to put in from those discussions, and how much for TU6 they've already got built and is completely rebuilding the game from the bottom up. Those time spans for those DLCs will get pushed again, and people will potentially start to lose faith that they're ever going to do what they say they're going to do. Two games in and 2 DLC cycles completely thrown out the window because they couldn't get the fundamentals of the game right from the beginning. Why should we trust another roadmap that they put out for the future of this game or future releases?
Yeah, if this happens with the third game, it's either shame on us or shame on them. Like, if it happens with the inevitable third game, if you're saying it sold as well as it did, it's franchise. Whether it's PvE or PvP, it makes no difference.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the exact numbers of the sales, but I know at one point this year, and it was quite recently, that it was the best-selling game of 2019. As I said, as far as I'm aware, nothing has beat it yet. But
no,
I don't recall many big games coming out in the last couple of months. So I guess people are waiting a little bit closer to Christmas to drop some more AAAs. But I still expect Division 2 to have been in the top 3 sellers for 2019, which isn't bad for a game that we've just spent an hour and a half slagging off. So,
no, it's not at all. Rob, do you think things will change in the future?
Yes, because things always change in the future.
Hate you.
I think this is, I mean, it's going to get better. Because marketing plan are all suckers for a hype train. They're going to give us reasons to come back. How long we stay when we come back is a different matter.
Agreed. Very quickly, obviously, ETF-Echo. We haven't really spoke about it much. Echo. Let's wait for Luke to chip and put it down. Obviously, TU6 is on the horizon. How much input do you think the ETF is going to have on the next update? Bear in mind that one would assume that TU6 has been in progress for a long, fair amount of time by now. And we know PvP has been worked on for several months, hasn't it? Luke?
I'm going to go with Bubkiss. I think TU7 and TU8 will feature a lot more of what ETF-Echo are providing feedback for. Don't get me wrong, I think they will change some shit from TU6 based on the fact that, Solid FPS and the other guys are going to play it and test it and provide feedback on it and say, no, this is still dog shit. But, I mean, we don't know when they want to put TU6 out. So, I mean, let's say it comes out in the next 4 to 6 weeks. It might sound like quite a while, but it's not really in terms of, recoding and rebuilding parts of a video game that people didn't like.
There'll probably be a PTS process as well.
Exactly.
Plus, everyone's been on holiday for 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. A lot of the dev team have been away on holiday and that, so everyone's kind of just getting back into the gist of it now, aren't they?
Personally, I would like to think that as long as they listen to the feedback that the ETF guys provide, I'm not really that bothered when it comes into the game, as long as it does make it into the game. Otherwise, what's the fucking point? I was a big believer in what they were telling us, that none of the previous ETFs were publicity stunts. We've spoken to people on the podcast and away from the podcast about the ETF process and what they're allowed to tell us. They've told us, and it doesn't sound like a PR exercise, and most of what was discussed was either dismissed out of hand because it's just not possible, which is going to happen. We're not video game designers. We come up with ideas that just might not be physically possible,
or are completely dumb.
But yeah, or completely dumb and just wouldn't work within the realms of that game, like zombies, for example. But the stuff that was constructively fed back to the devs was put in the game. I'm pretty sure it's not a secret that Game with Weezer was one of the reasons that the rogue system for Division 1 got changed the way it did get changed. It was part of one of his larger ideas that he put on Twitter, and then he got taken to an ETF process for that. And they plucked that particular piece of his idea out and put it in the game. So, why would it be any different this time around?
No, I completely agree with you. I've just seen a few people going, TU6 better fix everything, otherwise that's it. And it's like, well, you can't really think like that, because if that update drops in October, we're 4 weeks away, depending on when that drops. You can have a PTS and all the rest of it. There's not enough time to make all those changes, get a build ready for a PTS, and then take in all the feedback from the PTS as well, and then adjust it before release. That's a lot of work, and I'm not saying that what the ETF is going to go up there isn't going to impact TU6 at all. I just don't think it's going to impact it as much as a lot of people might think it will. I think like Luke said, you're talking TU6, TU7, TU8. You're talking future updates that they're going to be working on off the back of everything, off the back of the ETF workshops.
Yeah, I mean, depending on when they put out the next update. So
yeah, that's really what it depends on, isn't it?
TU6, let's say, gets a bit of the ETF feedback. TU7 gets a lot of it. If the game, and I say, it depends on when these updates come out, but if the game's still not in a good place by TU8, it might be time to stop. How long can you realistically wait for them to improve a video game?
Yeah. Before we do go, Rob, do you think, obviously ETF's going on, do you think they should wait and implement feedback from the ETF for TU6 or release as per usual, and then we get additional changes with TU7, TU8 sort of thing?
From a business standpoint, they need to do it as quickly as they can. From a personal standpoint, I hope they take their time. Mainly because Shadowkeep comes out at the beginning of October.
And you don't want to go back to Division just yet.
I need to burn out on that first before they bring out an update. That'd be pretty good. Maybe like end of October, that'd be great.
Yeah, it's about 4 weeks, isn't it? Before people start hating on something.
I know.
Right, very quickly, down to questions and feedback. Luke, over to you, dude.
Not me, Mr. says, welcome back with the podcast. As usual, another enjoyable one to listen to. Regarding the Dark Zone, as someone who has only been in the Dark Zone to do the initial missions to unlock them, please give me a reason to go in. They made all these changes from Division 1 to Division 2 to the DZ to encourage casuals like me to go into the DZ, but I don't because there really is no reason for me to do so. Maybe give the Dark Zone better RNG so get better gear compared to the Light Zone, or as Rob mentioned a few times in previous episodes, have a PvE pinnacle weapon that you can only get via DZ activities. Whatever Massive do, people will bitch, but if it's good for the game, then just do it anyway. And then regarding conflict, at a minimum, make it fun to play. That's why I think the idea of agents with fixed loadouts is attractive. Add to that custom matchmaking so you can do clan v clan, etc. Look at how people would look how people would watch streamers for Survival Saturdays, etc. Give the community some way to organise their own events in a PvP format that is fun to play. That's something we've been banging on about for a while, isn't it? Give the community the tools to do it, and we will do it.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real. People even figured out how to fucking matchmake with their friends in Survival. So, so they could have quote-unquote custom games in a game that was in no way custom. So
people will always find a way to do stuff themselves, but if you give people the tools to do it, it will take off a lot better than having to do some jank-ass fucking shit to do those things.
This reminds me of an Oxfam advert.
What, give a man a fish and he can feed his family for a day, but teach a man to fish and he can feed them forever.
Yeah.
What's the blood bank one?
It's not a very good analogy, but it just reminded me of that.
What's the blood bank slogan? I can't remember what it is.
Give blood?
No, there's another one. It's I can't remember
sure
what it
that is the slogan.
There's something else. I can't remember what it is. Anyway, Rob, over to you, dude.
This is from Captain Karg. I know the episodes are free content, but I didn't get to play the Kenley College, and I feel robbed. Also, the episode seems very light because of the unfortunate event. What could be the reason for this last-minute significant change? I feel like we've already discussed this.
We have, but it's good to hear from somebody that, we all know El Capitan is a very, very busy airline captain and works nearly every hour that God sends him. But why shouldn't he have had a chance to play a portion of the game that he technically paid for?
It goes down to the fact that not everyone who plays the Division, like, not taken the wrong way, but is, I don't want to say like a hardcore player. Like, you can play X amount of hours a week and either be casual or hardcore, but if you're only someone that gets to play it now and then you're not going to always have access to content, especially if they're going to add it as seasonal. And if someone's paid for it and it's taken away with 4 days notice, that's not really fair, is it?
Yeah, and for people that like my dad who are not really part of the community and aren't aware of this sort of thing happening, like imagine you bought the season pass to play this, didn't get a chance to play it for 3 weeks, and majority of it's gone.
Well, you've sat there, you've done the update, and you're expecting the new content, and you're like, oh shit, it's been closed down. Cheers. Must suck. Sorry for you, Cap.
Yeah.
Thank you to everyone who sent in questions and feedback this week. Much appreciated. Over to you, Rob.
You can find us over at SITREP Radio on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, as well as our personal accounts. Send any questions or feedback for the show to sitrepradiopod@gmail.com. Have we had an email recently?
No.
Is it because I don't say it properly?
I don't know.
Yes.
How do you say it? Can you say it clearer?
sitrepradiopod@gmail.com.
If you're listening, please send us an email just to make sure it works.
Okay. Or you can find us on the Discord. The link will be in the show notes. We want to hear your thoughts on the news and topics we cover, so be sure to leave a comment and join the discussion in any of those places.
Rob, did you get any takers on you buying Battlefield for them last week on your DMs on Twitter?
No.
Do you want to give up your Twitter handle?
The sale's gone now, dude.
Rob will buy it for full price.
No,
You can find him over.
I wasn't going to buy it for fucking sale price.
Sorry, Luke.
That's all good. Please leave a review of the show using the podcast app of your choice. We really do enjoy reading them. The feedback is excellent, and at the end of the day, it does help other people to find our show. If you listen all the way to the very end of this podcast, you'll hear all the juicy details about the other awesome shows that are available to you on the Mash Those Buttons network. Thank you.
We do live stream as often as we can, so if you're interested in dropping by and chatting with us whilst we play
Destiny.
probably Destiny, Rob's playing Destiny, I'm playing some other stuff, and Luke's playing some other stuff. You can find us all over at twitch.tv/SITREP Radio. Obviously, all the things we've talked about today are just our thoughts on what is happening and what should be changed. But, we want to hear what you think of today's topic. So please let us know. Anyway, we have been SITREP Radio. Thank you very much for listening, agents, and we will catch you next week, hopefully, with a state of the game. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Sequence complete. Security protocols deactivated. Server data replaced and CPU destroyed. Terminating connection in 3, 2...
You're listening to a Mash Those Buttons podcast. Visit mashthosebuttons.com for a full podcast schedule.
Cargo secured. Extraction